Welcome to the Knowledge Gumbo Podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom and thought-provoking stories using quotes, sayings, proverbs, and book passages primarily by Black women. I'm your curious-minded host, Alicia Thomas. This is your space for gaining knowledge and having meaningful discussions about history, culture, life lessons with splashes of humor. Let's get to today's quote. Discomfort is always a necessary part of enlightenment by Pearl Cleage. Pearl Cleage is an acclaimed playwright and author and is known for her powerful explorations of race, gender, and social justice. Let's look at it from the standpoint of, do you embrace discomfort or do you run away from it? That's a powerful thing to think about. It's kind of like first responders. Are you the type of person that runs into a building when it's on fire, or do you run away from the building when it's on fire? There is such thing as good discomfort and bad discomfort. The good kind of discomfort means that you're pushing yourself out of your zone of where everything is within your control. You know how people are going to respond. You know how you're going to respond to something. You're in control of the entire environment that you're in. You're in charge of your decisions. You're in charge of whether you need to go left or go right. There's no questions. So you're in a comfort zone. But the discomfort comes from you want to go to the next level, but you don't know how to get there. What are you going to do to get to that next level? And it makes you uncomfortable, but that's a good discomfort because you are growing. It's a growth discomfort because even if you miss the mark on where you want to go, you're still further than where you were and you're constantly changing and growing. There's discomfort when you're following your values when everyone else says you shouldn't. There's discomfort when everyone says, well, you're cheating and everybody cheats, so it's okay. But you go, no, one of my core values is integrity. So I have to be honest no matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if everyone else is doing it. It doesn't matter if everyone else is getting away with doing it. I'll know I was dishonest, even if no one else does. To me, that's a good kind of discomfort because you're willing to stand on principle. You're willing to stand on your core values and say, no, I don't care if anyone is watching or not. This is what I stand on, and I'm going to live by that value or those values, and I'm not going to compromise myself. And yes, it may cause some discomfort because other people will look at you like saying you think you're better than us or that you're judging them. And you're like, no, this is who I am. Or in some terms, it's like, this is who I want to be. And in order to be that person, I have to follow these values. In order to be that person, I can't participate in what the crowd is doing. I can't get caught up in the wave of what everyone is doing when it goes against my principles. Because if you look at it just from the standpoint of hanging out with the wrong people, it doesn't make you a bad person per se. For example, you're in the car with someone who's committing a crime. You can be arrested for accessory to that crime because you were hanging out with the wrong people and you were not willing to deal with the discomfort of saying, hey, this is you guys' thing. I'm out of here. This is not, where I want to be. I can't hang with you guys. I've got plans. There's things that I want to do with my life, or this is not who I'm about. And you guys do not condemning you one way or the other. This is just not who I am. And this is just not how I want to present myself to the world, how I want to present myself before God, how I want to present myself before my family, how I want to present myself to myself, because you don't want to be your own biggest enemy. Sometimes that's going to cause discomfort with other people. I think that's one of the things about crabs in a barrel is everybody's comfortable when they think we're all on the same level. And when you're trying to climb out of that, or if you're just going to the next level, it doesn't even have to be a bad thing. It's why we change friends when we go from high school to college. It's again why you change friends when you go from college to the workplace, because you're taking steps in different directions and everybody can't go with you. And that can cause some discomfort, but it's not a bad thing. And we need to look at it like it's an opportunity to either stand up and be who you want to be, go forward from where you are, and become even more valuable to yourself, to your family, to your community. Discomfort is not a roadblock. A lot of people look at it as a roadblock, that if I'm discomfortable, I have to stay here in this spot, in this position, and be like, I can't handle that. I'm not going to do that. But you got to go past it. You got to go either over it, around it, under it, or sometimes you just got to blast straight through it. Life was not meant to be forever comfortable. The only thing that's really consistent is change. And we have to be able to move and groove with the rhythm and the flow of change. And we are going to be uncomfortable with it. There's going to be levels of discomfort. To me, a lot of times when we're looking at it as not being a roadblock and it's a means for growth, you're looking at it as an opportunity, as a time to make a move. It's kind of like your life is a journey. And sometimes we get to a destination along that journey and we enjoy the fruits of the labor that we used to get to this destination. We're hanging out, we're having fun. But at some point, you got to make a move because you're on a journey. It's a time to refuel, re-energize, take time out to rest and survey where you are, who you're hanging with, who are your friends. Are you still on path to being the person that you say you want to be? Are you living your life according to your core values of this is the kind of person that I am, and this is the kind of person I present myself to the world as? Do they line up? You make those adjustments, and as you make that analysis, you get a bit uncomfortable because if you've strayed from who you say you want to be and the kind of person that you want to be, you're going to have to adapt and improvise and change to get back on track. And that means leaving the comfort of that destination to get back on the journey to the next stop. And we can't just say, oh, that's going to be hard. That's going to be difficult. No, at that point, we're taking the time to reassess, change any things in our mindset that we have to, how we look at things, how we think about things, and say, hey, okay, I've moved a little to the left. Let me adjust and move a little bit to the right. Let me get lined up in the things that I want to do. Let me get lined up in the person that I want to be, because not every season is about being perfect in every value. Like you might spend the season and you're saying, at least for me right now, I'm spending a season working on the value that I am healthy physically, because I've spent a lot of time going to the far left. I've fallen off the health wagon so far that I can't even see the wagon anymore. But now I'm making those adjustments so that health is a priority, because it's always been a core value, just like integrity is a core value. Just like my faith is a core value. And I've spent time on those options and I've let my health slide. But now in this season, I'm focusing on health so I can bring that back to a level that matches the other ones that I have been spending time on. So there's a season and a time to change and to create new systems so that when you get to where you want to be, you set a new level. You set a new floor, and then everything goes up from that next floor because you don't want to go down. But for me, with health, that's been my issue. You know, I've gone up, I've gone down, not so much yo-yoing. It's just that you get to a certain point and you let other things become a priority. And I've never had a level set of, I need to be able to do these things consistently to maintain the level of health that I want. I've done major challenges like 75 hard. I've done David Goggins 4x4x48. And those are good because you learn things about yourself when you challenge yourself. But to me, it didn't really set a level of, okay, this is what I need to do to be healthy and fit for a lifetime. This is what I need to level set myself at and say, at a minimum, I'm going to do, for instance, this many steps a day. I'm going to work out with weights this many days a week. I'm going to drink so many ounces of water. I'm going to level set where, let's say, 80 to 90% of my diet is completely healthy with splurges of, about 10% of the fun stuff. No, it's been feast or famine. So I'm working now through the discomfort, I promise you, of working out, of consistently eating the right foods. And it is not comfortable. But the goal is to get to the point where it does become comfortable. And then I can deal with other levels of discomfort in other area. We have to change our mindsets. We have to update our systems or create systems if we don't have them. And that helps us light the pathways to get beyond the discomfort, to go further. Part of getting past discomfort, part of embracing something different, embracing something more, is practicing saying no when you need to say no. Because we get in a lot of uncomfortable situations when we know we need to say no and we don't. We want to not upset other people, but we don't respect ourselves enough to not upset ourselves. So some tips for, going forward is we need to practice saying no is a complete sentence. That is one of my favorite sayings. It really is. It is a complete sentence. You are not required to explain why you are saying no. You are not required to justify your no. Because every time you say no, you're saying yes to something else. For example, if you want to do more things with your family, saying no to overtime is saying yes to I'm going to budget better with the money that I have so that I can spend more time with my family. Saying no to some of the ladies at church, no, I can't be on your committee because I have other obligations at home, which is my first ministry. My family is my first ministry, not the church. We have to be able to say no and don't feel the need to explain. I mean, in some relationships, yes, you explain to that person just so they understand. But for the most part, you don't owe people an explanation. No, I can't do it. No, I will not be there. No, I cannot support this at this time. And that's all you need to say. And if people can't accept it, I have a philosophy when it comes to this of that I'd rather they be in discomfort than for me to be in discomfort. Because they can be mad over there while I'm over here doing what I want to do when I want to do it. We have to be able to say no and remove all guilt from saying no. We have to be able to say no to the good to make room for the great and not be apologetic for it. We have to realize that setting boundaries is healthy for us and for them, because people can become overbearing and believe that you owe them something. But if you put up boundaries, it not only protects them, it protects you, or reverse that. It protects you, but it also protects them. A lot of times when people take advantage over and over again, it'll be something small and you'll snap and explode like a volcano all over them. But it's based on previous areas where they took advantage of you, not on the little bit of something that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So again, feel free, enjoy, embrace saying no, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. And sometimes, you're always going to have a twinge here or there, but the overall goodness of saying no cannot be overstated at all. We have to take the time to say, I am worth it. Affirmations get a lot of bad rap from people, but I believe that your self-talk is very important. It's not necessarily about standing in a mirror and reciting different I am statements. It's about being aware and conscious of what you're telling yourself in your mind, or even what you're speaking out loud about yourself, and correcting that with the right I am statement. To understand, words have power. So we have to, like I said, embrace discomfort, especially like physically, because as you are stronger physically, you're stronger mentally. It's very much tied together. We have to also be willing to engage in difficult conversations. That's how we embrace discomfort, is to not run away, walk away from difficult conversations. When you have tension with someone, or as they say, if you got beef with someone, go to them as an adult and say, hey, you did this, you said this is how I heard it, this is how I took it. Can we talk about it? And you have to be the bigger person, because a lot of people throw out stuff and they just sling it and they don't pay attention to where it lands or how it lands. Sometimes they don't even know that you were offended. We have to have these difficult conversations, or even coming up to someone who you know is not carrying their weight. I have an accountability partner and she's working on an advanced degree, and in her classes, they do a lot of group projects. She's had to have some difficult conversations with people in the group that are not pulling their weight. But you can't expect other people to do all the work and then you want to get the same grade as everyone else. It's not fair. And she's had to have difficult conversations with the people in her work group and say, hey, you're not pulling your weight. And then having another difficult conversation if they're still not responding positively with your instructor to say, hey, this person isn't doing anything. They're just sometimes showing up. They're not participating. They're not writing or contributing to their part of the project. So we as a group feel like this person shouldn't get the same grade. It's a difficult conversation to have, but it's the right conversation to have. You have to approach it the confidence to say, we want everything above board, everyone to be on a level playing field. We have to have difficult conversations in the standpoint of maybe being curious and open, because you never know what someone is going through. You never know what's happening on the other side. You just know it from what you're feeling and what you're seeing. We have to have those difficult conversations, because the person could be lazy, or the person could have, a sick child, a sick parent. We don't know what's going on. But if we're not willing to engage in the conversation, we make assumptions that make what out of us all. A part of embracing discomfort too comes from pursuing learning opportunities. You're never too old to learn something new, to learn something more about what you think you might already be an expert in. As long as you're living and breathing, there's room to learn and to grow. It's fine to take on projects that you feel like are slightly beyond your current skill level. You have to make peace with the discomfort of not knowing everything and not pretending to be a know-it-all to cover up the fear that someone's going to find out what you don't know. There is significant growth when you embrace the discomfort of not knowing and fuel it with the courage to go out and learn. Another way to embrace discomfort is the ability to sit with negative emotions. When we feel anxious or frustrated, we try to let it go and push it to the side or push it down. We're feeling angry. We don't want to be an angry person, especially when you're a Black woman. You definitely don't want to be seen as the stereotypical angry Black woman. We push down on things. That's not fair. To us, it's not fair to other people. But we have to be able to sit with that emotion, analyze those emotions, and then make any necessary changes, make any necessary moves to release those emotions or use those emotions to fuel something positive. We don't have to automatically try to fix everything, and we don't have to automatically try to escape the negative emotions. Let's sit with it. Let's feel it. It's okay to be angry. It is okay to be mad. The key is to not automatically react in the anger. Sit with it. Why am I angry? And what am I going to do about it? The power for you is between the stimuli and the response. What you do in between, that's where your power lies. That's the key of understanding this person ticked me off. So that stimuli is the anger. Take the time to feel the anger and decide what you're going to do. Take as much time in that space. If you need to elongate that stimuli in that response, usually that's the better off that you're going to be. The more time you take in between and respond to the person in a positive way for you as well as for them, even if they don't accept it. Do it for yourself. It is okay. It builds emotional resilience for yourself. It creates a higher emotional IQ. It's okay to sit in some negative emotions. The key is just not to stay there, but acknowledge what you're feeling, acknowledge what you're going through, and make a plan of how you're going to address it, and then leave that negative behind and address it in a positive way that helps everybody involved grow. As I mentioned previously, I did do David Goggins 4x4x48, which is doing 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. I did it twice, once walking and once riding a bike. And that was a level of discomfort physically that was just, woo, I'm telling you, that hurt so bad. But in embracing that level of physical discomfort and mental discomfort, I learned things about myself that made me stronger, that made me not be afraid to try hard things physically, because that mind, body, spirit connection is all affected and you grow. And I'm not the same person that I was before I did it. Because one of the main takeaways from something like that was you can do more than you think you can. There's way more left in the tank. You tell yourself you're done, but you're not. I was on the treadmill, walking on a treadmill, and my mind is saying, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm in too much pain. This is too bad. No, it's not worth it. And then something in the back of my mind shouted at me, if you were truly done, why are your legs still moving? If you couldn't do it anymore, your legs would physically and your body would physically shut down. Yet, your arms are still pumping, your legs are still pumping, you're still moving. Sometimes mentally, we give up way too soon, and we are better and stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We really, really are. And we need to open ourselves up to the possibilities of things. Now, I'm a big fan of Pearl Cleage, especially her books. You know, she's also a playwright, which I think is what makes her books so good because she's excellent at dialogue. And when I saw this quote, I was really moved by it. I think it's very, very, very important. So let's look at it one more time. Discomfort is always a necessary part of enlightenment. You are always a better person for the things that you go through than for the things that you avoid. Your mind is expanded. Physically, you're expanded. Spiritually, you're expanded. You learn things about what you believe. You reevaluate about things you thought you knew to be true that aren't necessarily so. Or it was true in that season, and you're in a different season, so you're on a different level of truth. Let's look at the challenge for this week. What small, uncomfortable action can you take this week to expand your boundaries? I'll say it again. What small, uncomfortable action can you take this week to expand your boundaries? Please think about that and comment below. Just one little thing that you can do to go one step beyond where you're comfortable. Do you have to read a book? Do you have to have a conversation with someone? Do you have to make a plan where you're normally not a planner? Just one small action. It doesn't have to be big. As the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Take that small bite, comment on it below, and share it. Would love to hear it. Would love to be able, if you would like, to hold you accountable for it. I think we need to do that more for each other instead of being critical. It has to be more about being accountable. All right. Thank you for listening and or watching. This is your space for gaining knowledge and having meaningful conversations about history, culture, and life lessons. Check out the Gumbo newsletter for an extra serving of gumbo at aliciatssays.com. You're always welcome here in our gumbo kitchen. And at the table, you can pull up a chair. There is always room. The gumbo is hot and made with love. We will see you next week.
Gather round, y'all. It's time to groove. Ooh, yeah. Knowledge Gumbo's got the moves so smooth. Wisdom and stories from our queen.